101. Welcome to Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. This is EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas back in the studio after 2 days in isolation. And, of course, Zach Kubusch behind the camera, keeping the show on track. Gager, it's good to be back.
It's about time.
You did a wonderful job hosting. I didn't know if I was going to be allowed back in the building after what you did the last 2 days, but I appreciate that. I do. Hey, hit us up on the Nasty Chat. Like always, we were really active on the Nasty Chat yesterday. Let's keep that going today, or text us at 780-218-9999. Like always, we're coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Fun show today. We're going to have Kinisky, someone Gager grew up with. He is the color analyst on the Seattle Kraken's radio broadcast. So we'll have some fun with that. We'll preview the Kraken, who had some interesting offseason signings. We'll also get to the red light district with our guy, Joaquin Gage. We got a nice little surprise for you on that segment as well. And we're waiting. It looks like we will have one of the Edmonton Elks players on the show at 2:20. I'm just waiting for confirmation on that as they've been traveling. And, of course, we're going to recap the Oilers' 6-1 loss to the Winnipeg Jets. Gager, they can't defend and they can't score.
Yeah, and they can't stop pucks after the first period. So, I don't know. This is it's not concerning.
No.
Not concerning at all. But we were mentioning this week, just waiting for someone to establish themselves. Someone step up and show me something resembling anything, and maybe just ease the concerns of Edmonton Oilers fans for a significant D partner for Darnell Nurse. I think that's the biggest question moving forward, and we didn't want to see someone just fall into that role and hope for the best.
Yeah, and you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to break it down. Let's break this game down, Gager. It was a very NHL veteran lineup for the Winnipeg Jets. The Oilers, I think they dressed maybe 6 NHLers in that one. Listen, I thought Stuart Skinner was pretty good early on. He made some big saves, and listen, we all knew he was going to be in for a tough night. He had 4 goals on 27 shots, but overall, I thought he was good. What did you make of the Oilers' number 1 netminder?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Stuart Skinner, you know you're already on the team. You're trying to get your game to the level that you know it needs to be when the season starts. Coach Naba in his avail, and he talked about, I think people were asking, why would Stuart Skinner want this game, right? Why would he play?
Yeah.
The reason why is you're going to get some work. You're going to probably see the best preseason lineup for the Winnipeg Jets, and there's some guys that can put the puck in it. There's some very talented guys. Connor, Scheifele, Lowry, I mean, he scores some big goals.
Yeah.
I completely understand it. I think I predicted he'd probably go for 2 periods and then fade off into the bench. But no, this is what you wanted to do. Feeling good about yourself, saw some good action. Probably maybe get one more game. I don't know if he'd play the full one, but no, I liked what I saw from Stuart Skinner so far. Even a little bit of fieriness on I think it was the Pionk goal. I think someone pushed the Jets player into him. But he was a little bit upset with that. So, a little bit of that competitive fire from your goaltender earlier on in the season isn't a bad thing at all.
Yeah, that's good to see. Mike Torrance says the first 21 saves, we good. Then 22 to 27. Yeah, but listen, with the team in front of him, we knew he was going to be busy and he was going to be in for a tough night. But overall, I thought he was a good tough night for the veteran Brett Kulak, -3. Can't put too much on him. He probably played the most minutes and had a lot of tough matchups. Matt Savoy, the young man, he had a couple good plays, but also struggled defensively, -2. I'll ask you this. The 3 centers that we were looking at, Noah Philp, James Hamlin, Lane Peterson. I don't count Sam O'Reilly because I think he's going back to juniors, even though he's been impressive. Of Noah Philp, James Hamlin, Lane Peterson, who stood out to you the most last night?
Well, I don't know if anyone... I would guess... I have to say Philp, but maybe because I was watching it so much. There was, I think when the Oilers had that parade to the penalty box there for a little bit, Philp was taking some defensive zone draws and wasn't losing them, winning the majority and or at least tying. You know, there wasn't a lot of straight losses where the Winnipeg Jets got full possession of the puck right after. So this is that thing what we were talking about. I'd love to see this guy go down to Bakersfield and just get the legs played off him, play in every type of situation, right? And hopefully, for his sake, he's one of the first call-ups if the Oilers do run into any sort of injury issues. He
had a couple nice plays on the power play early on. He shows that he has a little bit of offensive side, and I know they're really high on him. I know the fans right now are really high on him. I don't know if he's going to start here, but like you said, he's probably going to be.
I wouldn't. I don't give him, because you want a year off. Like, you want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and get into the rhythm of playing. That's another thing. Like, it's so this type of time of year with during preseason, you're trying to impress. He wants to start the season here. Like, he doesn't. I need to go work on my game down. No, that's not his thinking. You want. I'm interested to see over the next few games what the coaching staff, how the situations they put him in as they whittle down this lineup a little bit more. Maybe play him with a little bit more seasoned veteran NHL guys and actually see what he can do.
Yeah, I know for sure. I know we get excited with these young guys and the shiny new toy, but I think he's been the best. I think Hamlin's been pretty good. Lane Peterson he really doesn't do much out there. So I think all three guys are going to start probably in the minors. If I had to pick one, probably Hamlin would stay as the 13th.
I like Hamlin.
He's a good player.
Yeah, and he's got that a little bit of a spark. Not afraid to go into tough areas and kind of get it into the inside the opposing team's equipment, I think is what Woodcroft used to mention. I like guys like that.
Yeah, and then I want to get to this. Ty Emberson, I thought he was okay. I thought there were some good moments. There was a couple plays behind the net where he separated the forward from the puck, was able to strip it and get the puck out. But he also had some bad moments in this game. I think one goal you can squarely blame on him. And I think we get so caught up because he came over for Cece. We want him on that second pair so bad that we got to stop saying he was great last night, because he wasn't. He was not great. He was just okay. And I feel like we want it so bad for him to be a stud and for all the analytics to be correct in this. But if I'm being honest, now it's been 2 games, but for me, Ty Emberson has been good. But I'm still not seeing something where he's going to be like, oh my God, this is the savior. He's going to come in and settle down Darnell Nurse.
And I think he has the same type of thinking as a lot of the fans do, Hernan. I think there's a portion of him that he's trying a little bit too hard as well. He needs to just settle in, play it, relax, start playing his game, because it does at times, not all, but at times it seemed like he was his decision-making process, like his CPU was kind of it's like when you're playing like Trivial Pursuit as a defenseman. I always say like that, you hear the question, your first answer is always the right one.
Yeah.
And sometimes you, as a D-man, you see the open guy for the pass, but it's a nice little 8-footer, but then you see something else that's a lot sexier. And so your first decision is usually always the best. I think just he's got to speed up that decision-making process to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, again, I think you're right. He's probably trying to do too much at this point, but I was seeing it a lot on the X machine yesterday. And I know I'm just talking about one social platform and all that, but he was great. Like, he was not, because if you watch the whole game, you break it down shift by shift. He was okay. I don't think he was terrible. I don't think he was great, but let's stop giving out these false narratives just because we want him on that second pair. And I'll tell you right now, that right side is wide open. It's waiting for someone to grab it, and that includes Emberson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of the default, like we said, that's possibly just going to fall in there. But, yeah, I think this is now it's, again, with the whittling down of players, hopefully that Darnell Nurse is starting to feel a little bit better. I don't know if we'll see him in the preseason. If it's still bothering him, I wouldn't want him in there. Just save him for the regular season. You don't want to re-aggravate something. We saw what happened with Ekholm last year. Just make sure they're okay, and even starting behind the 8 ball a little bit, just missing camp is going to be tough enough. But no, I just want to see him play with a more, maybe play with an Ekholm or whatever. I who knows what the combination will be, but just someone that's provides that calming influence, maybe just to, a young guy trying to make the team, having a veteran go, let's just go have a good game. Let's just don't worry about anything else. Let's just go. I mean, I know it's cliche and it makes for a horrible interview, but just a shift at a time, play at a time, pass at a time, period at a time.
Tiki Spark says they need a number 4 defenseman, not a number 2. They might just be average, and that's a good point. Yeah, we're not going to get an Ekholm here on that second pair. We all know that. And then Norman, a Combine, our good buddy, says, can number 2 play with Nurse and Emberson with Ekholm? I know you guys are talking about on 2 guys. I just don't know about. I mean, Nurse and Bouchard have that. They're familiar with each other. They can play together. But do you really want to split up your top pairing, which is so damn good?
Well, and we've kind of seen in the past when Nurse played with Bouchard, and it was chaotic at times.
Chaotic, yes.
And yeah, you should, like I said, you should have what's going to be what looks like $20 million wrapped up in a defensive pair be able to play together. Like that should be a dominant force when you look at it on paper. Maybe I'm sure there'll be points where you might even see this again. I was kind of interested to see if Nurse wasn't hurt, what that would look like again, after another year of a little bit more maturity, especially on Bouchard's side. Like his confidence at this point must be just through the roof with what he was able to do in the playoffs. A fantastic regular season after the slow start. Confidence is everything in this game. And you have, I don't know, would you say that Darnell Nurse kind of looks at last year and goes, God, I need to be better, and he's coming in with a little bit of fire underneath him now that all the construction on Stony Plain is done and he can focus.
We can't blame him on that.
We can't blame him on that.
You know what? I hope he comes in like that, but that also scares me because when he comes in like that, he wants to do too much. Because for me, this year for Darnell Nurse, there's no more excuses for me. He's 29 years old. He makes a ton of money. And yes, I am going to bring up the contract because if you sign that, and yes, it was something you both parties negotiated, and you know the city you're playing in, you know what kind of expectations are going to come with that kind of contract. So no more excuses. Like, you got to be consistent. Now, is he going to have an off game? Of course, Gager. Every good defenseman has an off game. But you can't have as many as Darnell Nurse had last season. He needs to be the driving force. He needs to be the leader, the veteran. We can't be looking at, we need to find a partner for Nurse. We can't have that conversation anymore.
No, that's got to be nipped in the bud. And look, I mentioned even the play of Stuart Skinner needs to be, not that it's been bad. It's been really good, really, really good. But he needs to be that difference maker. He's been at a certain level of goaltending, and I do believe it's top 10 in the league. But just like he needs to get into that top 5 range.
Yeah,
like where when you discuss the best goaltenders in the league, Stuart Skinner's name is one that frequently comes up when that discussion pops up.
And the options right now on the right side it's Emerson, it's Josh Brown, Troy Stetcher, and then maybe Travis Dermott. So the options are not sexy. We all know that. I think by default right now you got to go Emerson, but there's still 4 games to go, and I think these guys are going to play a lot in these last 4 games, Gager. We're going to get a really good idea of what Coach Knobloch thinks.
Oh, yeah. Duck Dad's in the nasty chat. Nip in the bud or butt? I've always said bud, I think. I don't think it's butt. If you know, get into the nasty chat or the text line 780-218-9999. Is it nip in the bud or butt?
I love those sayings, and sometimes because we've all gotten some wrong, and then people are like, "What did you just say?"
The worst is hearing that song that you've been singing it one way for forever, and you realize that you've been singing the lyrics wrong for decades.
Yeah,
I do that with a lot of Def Leppard songs.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, just some Edmonton Oilers news. Of course, they're back in action on Saturday at home, 7:00, and they'll take on the Seattle Kraken, the team that we're going to preview next with Al Kinisky. He is the color analyst on the Kraken radio broadcast. Some news today, released from PTO, and will report to Bakersfield forward Ethan DeJong and loan to Bakersfield Maximus Warner and Noel Hoffenmeyer. Nothing shocking here. A couple of young guys. You saw Maximus struggle mightily yesterday, and that's expected. We're down to what? Maybe just over 25 players right now. Close to 30, I think.
Yeah, closer to 30. I thought. Yeah, a little bit over 30. Yeah, it starts to whittle down. For some of those bubble guys, the thing you want to hear most is the 3 words or 4 words. Go find a place. That's what you want to hear.
Oh, right? That's the
best. Those magical 4 words. Where I remember the day Mac T told me to go find a place, and. Well, Glenn Sather told me I've got a place for you, which was even better. So I moved into his buddy's place, but then he sent me down a week later, which was kind of weird.
So still up for grabs in the Oilers lineup. I think it's 4th line center, 2nd and 3rd pairing right shot D. And we've been talking about this for 4 months, Gager. That's the only spots that are open. I'm not seeing Matty Savoy make this team right now, off the hop. As much as a lot of people want him to, He's not.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. There's no need to rush these guys. No. The Oilers are set. And I know Evander Kane's absence is going to hurt a bit. I get that. But I think the Oilers have the horses and the vets that they can make do.
Savoy, no, yeah. And it's, to me, even Hernan, because that's the guy you want to be put in a position to succeed. I would look at O'Reilly more. That could possibly make the team out just because of how he is able to play defense. And again, I wouldn't like it, but if I had the choice, I would rather him because I think he could adjust to that bottom 6 role a lot better than some.
And it seems like he's trending to be that player, that 3rd line center that can grind it out. Before we get to break, and Al Kinisky here, Calvin Sees says, is it but Tommy Shorts can confirm? My boy Tommy's just taking a beating here. Poor guy. Leave Tommy alone, everybody. His shorts were fine. But we're going to get to a break here. First segment on EST Afternoons. Good to be back in the studios here at Edmonton Sports Talk headquarters. Of course, you can always listen to us on the iTunes radio or the iHeartRadio apps, or you can watch us on the EST YouTube channel. Keep the messages coming into the Nasty Chat and hit us up at 780-218-9999. Up next, Al Kinisky, radio broadcast color analyst for the Seattle Kraken. Here's Zach with a sports update.
The Oilers send Max Warner, Noel Hoffenmeyer, and Ethan DeJong to the Bakersfield Condors. Oilers preseason continues Saturday against the Kraken. Defenseman Rasmus Dahlin has been named the captain of the Buffalo Sabres. The 24-year-old was drafted by the Sabres first overall in 2018. It's 5 games on the slate tonight with the Sabres facing the Sens, Canadians playing the Bruins, and the Canadians playing a completely different team in the Bruins against the Rangers. All those games start at 5. The Canadians are playing the Maple Leafs. That was a mistype by me. TKO, UFC's parent company has agreed to a $375 million settlement with over 1,200 former UFC fighters. The fighters claimed that the UFC prevented them from negotiating other promotional agreements, and the initial lawsuit was filed back in 2014, previously with a judge previously dismissing a prior agreement back in July of this year. UFC announced that former champ Davison Figueiredo will fight Petr Yan November 23rd. Yan is 17-5 in MMA, while Figueiredo is 24-3-1 in his career. Thursday Night Football sees the Giants and the Cowboys at 6:15. Come on down to this Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for the action, where Lieutenant Eric will be every Monday and Thursday night throughout the entire NFL season. Just after the break, radio broadcast color analyst for the Seattle Kraken joins Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. That is Al Kinisky joining the show. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as newborn 8-pound, 6-ounce Mitch Lewicki. You can picture grown-up Mitch or teenage Mitch or bearded Mitch or whoever you want.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
.123 Thursday afternoon. Sunny and windy Thursday afternoon here, coming to you live from the EST studios here, brought to you by William Huff Advertising. They do all this wonderful work that you can see behind us, and make sure to check them out. We're going to get to the Doughty injury too later. That's pretty big. And just an update, Edmonton Elks starting running back Justin Rankin will join us at 2:20. Big shout out to Mike Curry for they just landed in Winnipeg, so you hooked that up pretty quick there. For us. So we're just waiting on Al Kinisky here from the Seattle Kraken. What do you make of the Seattle Kraken? They went from 100 points to 81 last year. Where do you find them this year? Closer to that 100 or closer to that 81?
I think somewhere in the middle, from all accounts, Beniers took a little bit of a step back.
He did.
I think a little bit, somewhat sophomore slump, possibly, right?
I'm going to call it a sophomore because his first year, he only played 10 games. So that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count. But him coming back to form, I think will be completely different. Yeah.
We'll get to all Seattle Kraken news here as we're joined by Al Kinisky, radio broadcast color analyst for the Seattle Kraken. Al, how you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Excellent. So I heard a rumor that my co-host Joaquin Gage grew up with you.
Yeah, he might be the person that I go furthest back with that's in this circle of broadcasting.
It's great to hear your voice, Al. I mean, we were, I guess, I don't know what you would classify it as, U10, U11 when we played, and I had no idea Al was actually...
I think we probably called it Adam and Pee-wee back then.
Adam Pee-wee, I think that's the last time. And it was such a weird way that we actually got reconnected. Is I saw you on LinkedIn and I just sent you a quick little message to say hi, how you doing? And writing back, good to talk to you. Little did I know that you were doing radio with the Kraken. And I go to that game that night after not talking to you for decades, and I look over and see, God, that guy looks like Al Kinisky. How weird! I was just talking to him, and then it turns out to be you, and it was just hilarious. But thanks for joining us today. Now being with the Kraken for a few years now, going through camp. What's the? I mean, there's been a lot of changes with the roster a little bit. How's camp been going so far, and what are the big stories coming out this year?
Well, I mean, big storylines are Dan Bylsma taking over the head coach position for the Kraken, kind of resetting the culture of the team a little bit, bringing Brandon Montour in, Chandler Stevenson in. A couple of guys have moved on. So, a few changes to the lineup. There are not a lot of roster spots open. I would say one is probably obvious in that there are probably 3 to 5 guys fighting for that spot. Shane Wright, who's been up a few times over the last couple of seasons, first-round draft pick to the Kraken, he will likely start with the team this year and play a full 82-game season. So that's exciting to look forward to. So between personnel and the new man behind the bench, there's a lot to look forward to from that perspective.
Al, one of the players there that's looking to bounce back after an offseason is Matty Beniers there. He just signed a big contract this offseason. What happened last year? He went down from 57 the year previous to 37 points. It's just your typical NHL sophomore slump?
I think that's part of the answer to that question. I think the other part is when you win the Calder Trophy, all of a sudden a lot of eyes are on you, not just from an expectation standpoint, but from an opponent standpoint. So he was no longer kind of able to stay in the background and have success. He needed to have success while being shadowed a lot more on the ice. And I think that maybe that was a bit of a surprise to him in that second year. I think also, he probably didn't put the strength onto his frame that many were expecting in that next year as well. This year, you can see that has changed. He's put the work in the off season. We've only seen one preseason game with Matty so far, so sample size is small, but he looks good. He's skating well. He's jumping into physical altercations. He's helped leading a little bit more. I definitely think he'll be a future captain for this team, so you can see that start to develop as well. But as far as point production goes, I think last year will be a slump, and we should expect to see him return to his former self this year. Signed a big new contract, so I'd like to see 10 points per million on that contract, so a 70-point season.
Al, you mentioned Shane Wright just before this. With young players, we always see that it's sometimes a little bit tough, especially with this. Doesn't get any easier with this kind of veteran-laden lineup. Would the coaching change help a player like Shane Wright? Just kind of a fresh start, a fresh set of eyes on him to see what he can actually do, and for him, hopefully make the team and be a regular contributor?
Yeah, I think that not just a coaching change, and not to say that Dave Haxtell hurt his development last year. It was more of a when was Shane ready? What's the right time for him? But in the case of Dan Bilesma now being behind the bench, Shane's had him as a head coach down in Coachella now for a bit. So there's a familiarity between those two. There are expectations. And that works both ways. Shane's familiar with him, and he's familiar with Shane. So I think that when you saw Shane play in the Calder Cup finals last year, you saw him play with a fire in his belly that was, I want to leave this league this year with people expecting me to move on to the Kraken next year and never look back. And you could see that in the way he played. So I think he's ready. The spot on the roster is there for him to lose, and I don't think he's going to.
Al, in the offseason, they brought in Chandler Stevenson, brings a lot of veteran leadership to this team, signed a big contract. Is that exactly what the Kraken needed, a player of Chandler Stevenson's ilk?
Well, listen, it was no surprise that last season the Kraken struggled offensively. And so that was a bit of a focus in the offseason. So not only bringing in Chandler Stevenson, but a very offensive-minded defenseman in Brandon Montour hopefully changes some of that. Different schemes in terms of power play. You've got Jess Campbell now on the bench with Dan Bilesma. So I think we're expecting to see a lot more focus on offense, a lot more intensity around the net. You're going to see a lot more shooting, I would think. So all those factors should lead to more offense, but starting with the acquisition of Chandler Stevenson, as you said, and Montour, those will be big parts of it as well.
Where do you see the Kraken? I mean, there's some, I guess, bottom feeders, kind of when you look at the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. Where do you see the Kraken fitting in this very tough at the top laden Pacific Division?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's no reason why they can't find a fourth place spot in the division this year. I think that the Oilers, the Knights, and the Canucks, there's going to be some mix up there of probably 1 through 3. That's probably a given. But I think when you get down to that fourth spot, there becomes a little bit of question there. I see no reason why that can't be a spot for the Kraken. A lot of that has to depends on what I just mentioned about changes to offensive output. I think if it's a healthy goaltending duo in Grubauer and Decord, that also puts them in a prime spot as well. So that's how I look at it. Is that fourth spot is up for grabs for the Kraken.
Al, thank you for taking the time to join us and catching up with your childhood buddy here, Joaquin Gage. All the best this season. I'm sure we'll have you on once the Oilers meet Seattle. Thanks again.
Yeah, happy to do it, guys.
That's Al Kinisky, radio broadcast color analyst for the Seattle Kraken. And Gager, it's pretty cool, the story you told about how you guys kind of saw each other after many years.
Yeah, and he played with the Seattle Thunderbirds back in the day. Drafted 1990 to the Philadelphia Flyers. My mom is getting a kick out of this. She was probably had no idea, right? And so a childhood friend doing the kind of same things. It's funny. Yeah, he mentioned probably the guy I've known the longest in this business. It's close to 40 years since we've known each other, right? So pretty cool, pretty real cool, and great broadcaster.
Yeah, and Seattle's a very interesting team. I think in year 2 when they went to the playoffs, I think we all kept expecting that season. At least I did. I was like, they're going to fall off eventually. They never did. I think they beat Colorado in the first round there, and then the loss in the second round. And last year was a little bit off year, but like you said, a lot of players, they weren't scoring like they were in that first year.
Yeah, and he mentioned Beniers kind of, winning the Calder. And I think he caught a lot of players, a lot of teams off guard, right?
Yeah.
You're just not knowing what type of player he is. Hard-nosed, scores a lot. Like, a lot of his goals come from 6 feet, also with the ability to beat goalies from distance. Like, he surprised a lot of people, I think. And then if you were to go into a lot of locker rooms, I think you would have found that his name was circled, right? We got to pay attention to this player. So all of a sudden,
give him a rough ride. Yeah.
Maybe you're not playing against the certain D pairings from before. You're playing against the top guys on a regular basis. And you're trying to repeat your performance, right? Now, I think, with some of the guys they have, I love the Chandler Stevenson trade. I always thought he was a fantastic player. Great deal that he got with the Seattle Kraken. He's going to be a little bit of a difference maker.
See, because he's 30 years old, and when he signed the deal in free agency, a lot of people were like, wow, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But I think he's still got 3-4 good years.
I do too. I think towards the end of that deal might look a little bit rough, but I mean, it's still at that point with the cap going the way it is, still I think can provide them a few opportunities to do something, but he's a driver, right? Yeah. There's times watching the Vegas Golden Knights over the last few years, there were nights when he was the best player on that team. So if he can produce, score a little bit more goals, and like Al said, their goaltending tandem is pretty good.
Yeah, look at their top 6. McCann, Beniers, Bjorkstrand, Burakovsky, Stevenson, and Schwartz. And then you have Tolvanen, you have Jordan Eberle, Shane Wright in the bottom 6.
And it's a pretty good top 4 defensive core with everyone knows Adam Larson. Oleksiak is just a monster. Brandon Montour,
great
addition. And Vince Dunn. I mean, they're a team that definitely you have to watch out for. I think peaking in that 4th position, but definitely a threat for a wild card.
And you like their goaltending of Decord and Grubauer?
I like Grubauer.
Yeah,
I think I look at this goaltending tandem and seeing what it still puzzles me why Grubauer left the Avalanche that one year when they
money.
I know, but it really wasn't. Whatever. We won't talk about that. And Joey Decord, when he was with Ottawa, I think he came into Edmonton and stoned them a couple times. So he has the ability to steal a game here and there, and I think that's what you want. And what I would probably look at that is Grubauer playing 65 to 70% of those, and Decord offering that, solid backup.
I think for me in the Pacific, I have Edmonton, Vegas, and Vancouver. Not in that order. I think those guys are going to compete for a top spot. I think Seattle's going to be competing with LA. I think those are the two teams, because I don't think Calgary will be there. Definitely not San Jose and Anaheim.
I gotta disagree with you, buddy. Now and it's just because of last night.
Okay, fair enough.
And with the injury.
Oh yeah.
Last night, I think the LA Kings are in deep, deep trouble to start the season without him. And I think Seattle, I do think Vancouver's going to take a little bit of a step back, possibly.
So do I.
Just from the start of the season, they're still a really good team, and with the additions that Seattle have made and what I think is going to be a bounce back year, I think they're closer to Vancouver than you actually think.
That's interesting. So there is an update on Doughty from Frank Cervelli. He says that he sustained a left ankle injury. Obviously, initial quick x-ray showed a fracture, but he's scheduled for additional imaging today. Hope is that it's only a fracture, not additional structural damage. Timeline to be determined. So losing Doughty is a huge loss for that team, who's lost a lot up front. Again, I brought up Warren Fogle. I'm not a big guy that he should be in your top 6. I think if he is in your top 6, you're going to lack a little bit of offense. Spender's Pancake says Canucks pull back 10 to 12 points. I mean, if they don't have Demko, sure.
Oh, more 20 points.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's fascinating. And I've been saying this whole week that this is the Oilers division to lose. The only one that can beat the Oilers and knock them off that top spot is the Edmonton Oilers. And I know Jonathan Davis, our great guest yesterday that covers the West Coast hockey team, said home ice doesn't matter. It does, because I think if the Oilers are in a Stanley Cup final and it's Game 7 in Edmonton, it changes a lot. Doesn't guarantee anything.
No.
But it definitely changes a lot. All right, coming up next, it's one of your favorite segments, if not your favorite. It's the Red Light District with Joaquin Gage. And at 2 o'clock, we'll talk some Elks and Justin Rankin, starting running back for the Edmonton Elks, will join us at 2:20. That's all coming up here on EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, and now with a sports update, here is Zach.
The Oilers send Max Warner, Noel Hoffenmeyer, and Ethan DeJean to the Bakersfield Condors. Oilers preseason continues Saturday against the Kraken. The NHLPA has filed a grievance over the Flyers terminating Ryan Johansson's contract. He never dressed for the Flyers and was acquired in March from the Colorado Avalanche and has played 63 games last season with the Avalanche. Defenseman Rasmus Dahlin has been named the captain of the Buffalo Sabres. The 24-year-old was drafted by Buffalo back in 2018, first overall. It's 5 games on the slate tonight with the Sabres facing the Sens, Canadiens playing the Leafs, and the Bruins Rangers. All 3 of those games start at 5. Thursday night football sees the Giants against the Cowboys, and Lieutenant Eric will be down at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for that one, as he is every Monday and Thursday night throughout the entire NFL season. Kickoff for that one is at 6:15. In the MLB right now, it's the White Sox up 5-0 against the Angels, while it's 2-2 between the Cardinals and Rockies. And the Rangers later take on the Athletics, which should start in just very short moments. Just after the break, EST Afternoons continues with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. I'm Zachary Kubusch for your EST update.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
Celebrate the grand opening of Sit and Sleep and discover a revolutionary way to shop for mattresses. Stop in today for a free pressure point scan using cutting-edge technology so sleepologists can identify the perfect mattress for you. Right now, you'll get free local delivery on any mattress over $5.99 and receive a bamboo cooling mattress protector. Get grand opening savings now with every mattress on sale. Join us on location today for the celebrations at Sit and Sleep in South Common next to Planet Fitness.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
.142, it's Edmonton Sports Talk, static free since 23 EST afternoons with Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, and Ice Cube. Did you hear the produced version of the...
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Unreal.
Isn't his voice like so, like he's got a hip hop voice,
he
like
does.
a rap voice.
Yeah.
It was truly amazing.
Well
Zach.
done.
I don't have a record deal yet, so if anyone, I'm kidding. No, it was so much fun to do that, and Josh Clausen there, he gave me so much inspiration, and his buddy's studio we went to, RJ, shout out to him. He let us go in there and record, and he mixed it all. It was a great production. Took an hour to record it all. It was a one take wonder for Josh Clausen. He's a legend. Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
He's professional. But you sounded great, man.
Yeah.
Like when you come in and start hitting that, it's really, really good. I mean, we're gonna hear a lot of that probably. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear that on a radio station at some point. Someone's got to play that.
And I'm a little biased, but I love the line with the smoke and the Latino heat.
Of course.
And at the Essies, I'm filming it and I scream when we hear that. It was pretty funny.
It was so funny because Hernan scared me when we're sitting beside each other at the Essies and they're singing it for the first time and Hernan's singing along, "Oh, gas, no break." And I'm like, Jesus, man, just relax.
I got into it, man. It was awesome.
It was great, buddy. It was great.
Great job, man.
I didn't know that your part was that big. And when you came in, that blew the roof off the place.
Yeah.
That was completely
well
awesome.
done, Zach.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a plan. It was fun. Maybe another song might be coming down the pipes one day.
The rumor is Trevor wants to make a song.
I know. Yeah, there's a lot of competition around these parts these days.
So we'll see what happens there. But it's time to get to your favorite segment on Thursdays. It's time for the Red Light District with Joaquin Gage. Joaquin.
You don't have to put on the red light. Those days are over. You don't have to sell your body to the night.
Joaquin.
You don't have to wear that dress tonight. Walk the streets for money. You don't care if it's wrong or if it's right.
Joaquin.
That brings back a lot of memories.
It's great to hear that.
That's good. That's good. Eric with the good pipes. How long is it before we hear Eric on a full feature LP? That's
you know what? When I was in broadcasting school at NAIT, we had to do this project where you had to make a song and record it, and then the example the prof used was a song. And the singer was great. And I'm like, who is that? And they're like, Lieutenant Eric. I was like, what?
God, that was great. It's funny because I remember when Dusty first said, let's do something. What are we going to call it? I said, how about the Red Light District? He loved it. But he was working on an intro and he didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I sang the song and emailed it to him for the first episode. So thank God that's gone. But it's time for the Red Light District. This week... going a little bit different, but something a little more closer to my heart. What liked to watch over the last few years. It's the red lights are out for Daniel Ricciardo. As Daniel Ricciardo has been kicked out of Red Bull, and Liam Lawson will be taking over. And what I really watched, and something caught my eye yesterday with all the reporters talking about him and how endearing this guy was in the paddock and loved. And I know when I was Dusty and I, we would be doing the Pit Stop Pals and talking about it, I'd always be a little bit hard on Ricciardo. But then I'm realizing, like, God, I'm actually gonna miss this guy a little bit. And I was wondering why. Like, I felt, it's gonna be sad not seeing Ricciardo around. And someone brought to light that he said, this Daniel Ricciardo, the way he left F1, kind of disappointing with his career, how much he's meant, especially the fact that if a lot of people started watching F1 because of the success of the Drive to Survive show, and he was the main character. It was basically, for the first 3 years, was the Daniel Ricciardo show. So, I mean, it's the reason why I kind of fell in love with F1 and have been watching it ever since. And yeah, I find myself kind of reflecting on my time as a professional athlete and how I left. And I remember kind of my last game in Italy, and it was in the playoffs and we were losing. And I remember looking up at the scoreboard and going, geez, if we don't come back here and win this thing, this is a good chance this is going to be it for me. And I kind of, watching Daniel Ricciardo after that race, that's how I felt, just that last kind of time as a professional athlete. So it was a little bit sad. So I'd just like to say thank you to Daniel Ricciardo, first for getting me into F1, and I'm gonna miss you.
Man, you got emotional there. That's crazy. And you're right, because season 1 of Survive, what's it called?
Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive. Sorry. He was the main character, and he had such a great personality for
Unreal personality.
And he was in Red Bull, and then he made the move to McLaren, right? And it went pretty bad.
Renault.
Yeah. And it didn't go well there.
Terrible.
And then he's 35 years old. I mean, we're seeing Fernando Alonso, who's a lot older, still being in there, but because on the Nasty Chat, it says, Spency 5 cents, he says, sucks for Ricciardo, but Liam Lawson is too good to be on the bench.
Now, I agree with you. And granted, Ricciardo didn't perform, I think, up to what Helmut Marko and Christian Horner were hoping for. But I do believe that the fact that all these young rookies have now come into F1 and are not only like they're getting points, like they're performing really well. I think that was kind of their cue to go, because back when Liam Lawson got into that seat, they were like, okay, he had one good outing, but now you see all these other young drivers come along, and they're actually performing better than the person that was in that seat from before. So I mean, Ricciardo, 258 Grand Prix, won 8 of them, won 1 from pole, 32 times on the podium, on pole 3 times, fastest lap 17 times he had the fastest lap. Just an amazing career. It's just, it was just a little bit sad because I reflected on how I left hockey, and it was it's a sad moment regardless.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been nicer to see a better send off.
Do you see him fitting in that role of kind of like pre-race, post-race analyst? I can totally see him doing that.
It won't be long before you see him on some sort of TV show. I mean, if F1 TV, which I love to watch, I would be trying to scoop him up. Definitely for next season. Guaranteed you'll see him in Melbourne next year at the race there. But yeah, I think he's still a pretty dominant force in the face of F1, that there's still marketability with him. And, we've seen drivers come out and be analysts. I love their view of things. No better time to get a guy that just got out of a seat to start talking about how drivers feel and things like that. He'll be on Drive to Survive still, I'm sure.
Because I remember in season 1, there's a couple drivers that were dropped after that season, and they went to Indy. Do you think he'd look at that avenue just to keep racing?
I don't think so. No. I think he was just this will be it for him. I think he's at that age that kind of I'm good. I got out of this healthy and and with probably a considerable bank account. Maybe it's time to just look at this from the other side of the lens and do some things. Maybe somewhat, like there was even talk about Sebastian Vettel getting back into it in a more prominent role of some sort. So, but I just think it's a matter of time before you see him in some sort of broadcasting role.
Yeah, on the nasty chat, this one, Dawson Nielsen says, I guess this makes it 10 times easier to bet last place for Lance Stroll. Lars Wise says, might be the only reason they kept him around was for the Drive series. Guaranteed he was the reason a lot of viewers tuned in. He was, because he was entertaining. Spency 5 cents, he once again says, I started watching Ricardo after I found out he was an Alexis on Fire fan. He had some great races. And I've fallen off a bit on F1. I still follow it. I don't follow it as closely as you, but where would you, all time, where is he?
Oh,
obviously not at the top.
Not at the top, right? But as one of a driver that everyone loved, I think always had time for people, and I think that's part of the intimacy of F1. You're around them a lot. I don't know about, I would have to kind of look in my all time, I'm not too familiar with a lot of drivers, but probably within I would say top 40, 50.
Oh, okay.
Because from what I understand, when he came out and he was the big dog at Red Bull, right? Like he was beating Max when Max first came to Red Bull all the time and outperforming him. He talked about, I think he was posed the question by Nico Rosberg that looking at the decisions that he made throughout his career, and he said hindsight's always 20/20 with those things, but he left Red Bull right when they were going to start
being like
pushing Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. Probably not the best decision, and even Renault, leaving Renault when they were really making him the focal point, and he was going to be the number one driver. And then went to a McLaren team that was basically on the back foot for 2 years before he was finally replaced by Oscar Piastri.
Deaky Sparks on the inbox at 780-218-9999 says, if Oscar wasn't around, he might have stayed, but they'd rather Colapinto than a slower Aussie, I'd bet. Sheldon, not in a white garbage truck, says Ricardo won't race full-time in Indy. He said he's scared of the ovals, said it's nuts. And then this one says, Gager, if you go back and watch, I think 1996 F1 season, Martin Brundle's first season out of F1 and doing the commentary, some pretty funny moments of a former driver who was still bitter no longer to be driving. I can't see him being the bitter guy.
Well, they're all bitter, I think, but I think that would make it good TV to watch as an old driver getting up. I mean, look at Jacques Villeneuve. Like he still seems a little bit bitter and is quite brutally honest with a lot of these things that you get from old drivers. But yeah, I'll definitely have to go back and look at do a Brundle walk, so to speak, and see him in the paddock as a broadcaster for the first time.
Eric L says, pour a shoey out for the homie Ricardo.
I'll do it as soon as I get home.
That was a Red Light District with Joaquin Gage. We finally had the intro. Big up to Lieutenant Eric for getting that to me. And an emotional Red Light District as Joaquin Gage is pretty upset over Daniel Ricciardo being out of the F1 scene. But like I said, I'm pretty sure if F1 was smart, they'd hire this man because he's funny. He can break down the race. He can talk about pretty much anything because he's lived it all. So Daniel Ricciardo, we say all the best in, what do we call it? Is it a forced retirement or
it's a little forced.
Retirement. Yeah. Maybe he's not done. Who knows? But that's going to wrap up hour one here on EST Afternoons. Coming up in the second segment, we'll talk some Elks. We'll continue the Oiler talk. Of course, there's Thursday Night Football. Cowboys at the New York Giants. Imagine if the Cowboys lose this one. Whew, that's going to be a tough one. And Justin Rankin of the Edmonton Elks will join us at 2:20. We're back with hour 2 of EST Afternoons.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Few of us can say that we're over 60 and still hot, but Mr. Mike's Burger can. And to celebrate over 60 years of Mr. Mike's famous burger, you're invited to taste history for only $8.99 at Mike Burger Madness. Savor the original flame-grilled Mike Burger on their signature garlic French loaf for a limited time. Dine-in only price of just $8.99. Sides extra. It's Mr. Mike's Mike Burger Madness, and you'd be mad to miss it. Offer ends September 30th. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the Association, Formula One, soccer, golf. Oh, sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
The Oilers send Max Warner and Noel Haffmeyer back to the Bakersfield Condors. Preseason action for the Orange and Blue continue Saturday against the Kraken. The NHLPA has filed a grievance over the Flyers' decision to terminate forward Ryan Johansson's contract. The Flyers acquired Johansson in March and he was injured. They tried to waive him but couldn't due to his injury. Defenseman Rasmus Dahlin has been named the captain of the Buffalo Sabres. 24-year-old was drafted first overall by the team back in 2018. 5 games are on the slate with the Sabres facing the Sens, Canadiens playing the Leafs, and the Bruins and Rangers. All 3 of those games go at 5. And Elks wide receiver Gavin Cobb and running back Javon Leake are out for tomorrow's game against the Bombers. Justin Rankin will get the start at running back for kickoff at 6 p.m. And make sure to come down to the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for an EST watch party for the game. Thursday night football action sees the Giants and Cowboys at 6:15. Lieutenant Eric is down at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for that one. Come hang out with him and some of the other nasties on Fort Road. Right now, you're listening to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. That continues now. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
O'clock, EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Reminder, you can listen to us at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, TuneIn Radio, or iHeartRadio, or watch us on the YouTube channel at EST. Hit us up on the Nasty Chat or text us at 780-218-9999. We're coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Keep the thumbs up. We're at 45, Gager. That's not too bad for 1 hour. Yesterday took us all show to hit 50.
I know, yeah. Let's see if we can break that 100 barrier. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Great conversation on the Nasty Chat as we were talking Daniel Ricciardo no longer being a driver in F1. We'll see what the future holds for the popular Aussie. I'd say he's pretty popular, eh? He's pretty lighthearted. He's no Max Verstappen personality-wise.
No, not at all. I mean, when the talks of him keeping the seat arose, there was a little friction. Obviously, he's not going to be happy with those comments. But look, he's outperformed by his teammate at the end of the day.
Yeah,
right?
That's the name of the game. Big game coming up tomorrow, and the whole EST crew will be at the Century Casino on Fort Road. Come hang out with us for the watch parties. The Elks are in Winnipeg to take on the Blue Bombers. Game time is 6 o'clock. You can also go hang out with Lieutenant Eric tonight for some Thursday night football, Giants and Cowboys as well. I don't know what the special is tomorrow. I think we already said it. Maybe quesadillas.
Oh shoot! No, because tonight's it's
a smoked brisket.
The smoked brisket cheese steak, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think of the sandwich? Did you eat it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah?
It was good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
You want to tell our listeners what you're talking about here?
Oh no, yeah. I brought in some smoked chicken sandwiches today. So.
No, it was,
I'm in big trouble.
Jay didn't get one. Tommy ate two. That's why. No, I'm just kidding.
It was my bad. I'm getting it from Jay because I brought in the sandwiches and I thought I had enough, but I think the little buns were attached. And no, it was Trev. I didn't slice. It's actually my fault. I will bring you a sandwich tomorrow, Jay. Don't worry.
No, it's tasty with the cheese and the celery. Like it's my kind of sandwich.
Yeah.
Those buns are perfect.
Oh, those buns are good.
Yeah. They're really, really good.
I've heard this a lot in the past that I've got great buns.
You're the bun man. The bun man. The Elks did release their depth chart. A few changes here to get to. Like you heard in the Kubusch sports update there, Justin Rankin will get the start at running back, his first one of his career in the CFL. Kevin Brown will be the number 2. He will join us at 220. That is Justin Rankin. Zach Mathis also getting his first start in the CFL in place of Gavin Cobb, who's out for this game. And Zach Mathis, of course, is the supplemental pick in this year's draft. He played at North Dakota State, had excellent numbers. He's 6'7", so I'm intrigued to see what he can do out there. Just toss it up and let him go get it. Other notable, Darius Bratton will be out at halfback, but good news is Marcus Lewis returns after missing the last, I think, 6 or 7 games. So Jacob Plamondon draws back in, as does rookie Jalen Green. He'll back up at DB, and Josiah Shackle, a great special teams linebacker, is back with the green and gold. What do you make, Gager, of going with the rookie at running back? And I think Kevin Brown is still going to play, but you can't deny what this guy's done. Every time he touches the ball, it's going for more than 10 yards.
No, I mean, this is another kind of getting into this game, maybe showing they're both going to play at some point, I think, but just a little bit of a different look. You don't want to go into the game and keep the same thing. There's changes that need to be made after a loss. And maybe you get that little bump by getting the first start, a little bit more excitement, wanting to do something special. I like it.
I'm going to ask him though, but do you think, I know the preparation doesn't change, but it's different. Is it different when you're the starter instead of a guy that's going in for a couple plays a quarter?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're marching out there to start. You know, that whole feeling. I don't think it changes whatever sport you're playing. Being in the starting lineup is something special, and in a game where you're going to be counted on to provide a consistent level of offense throughout.
And they're game planning for you now.
Yeah.
Like they know you're going to be the guy.
Yeah.
It's like
there's I'm sure there's butterflies and stuff. Once you get that first touch, though, get the ball, hit the line, I'm sure it all kind of goes away. But there's always in the back of your mind breaking one out and going 60 for 6. I wait till we talk to him, but I probably won't dive too much into that. It's always just kind of stay in the moment. But yeah, you can't.
And I like it because it's creating competition. Kevin Brown now knows he's not going to get as many reps as Justin Rankin. Kevin Brown's very talented. He was second in the league last year in rushing yards. He hasn't had the year he's wanted. He missed some time too with an injury, so it's only going to motivate Kevin Brown. He's one of my favorites, Gager. He's probably top 2 of my favorite players on the Edmonton Elks in my time there.
Nice.
He's just an absolute beauty. Of course, the big news this week was McLeod, Bethel, Thompson. We're not going to go get into it again, but what are you expecting from the veteran here?
To be quite honest, buddy, I think we see the best Bethel Thompson that we've seen since he's been here. It's going to have to be. This is why you brought him in is to perform
for these moments.
These types of games, right? If the moment got too big for your young star, this is why you got him in the first place. I expect him to have a great game. He was playing quite well up to this point before the break, providing, I think he had a couple really good nights out. I forget the actual total yardage that he was throwing for, but looked very confident, making some good plays. And again, they're in must-win territory, the Elks. Like, if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive, this is a very tough place to play. Their record over the past few years is not good in this in Winnipeg, so they're due.
Are they ever?
But this is it. This is do or die, essentially. I don't think they make the playoffs if they don't win this game.
Yeah, no, like mathematically they're not out, but they're out.
They're out. Yeah.
So this is an enormous game.
This is the game where you still have your playoff destiny in your hands. Otherwise, you start scoreboard watching, and when it gets to that point, it's basically over.
So check this out. The top 3 leaders in both passing yards and passing touchdowns as of right now in the CFL, Bo Levi Mitchell, McLeod Bethel Thompson, Jake Mayer. All 3 teams can miss the playoffs. Has that ever happened in this league?
You'd have to ask someone with more knowledge than me about the CFL, but yeah, I'm going to say probably hasn't happened that often where you have but let's look at the turnovers too. I think they're quite high for some of those guys as well.
Yeah, they're probably pretty high, but that is it's, you know what it is? It's like, what is going on here? Like, this is unreal that the top passers, top touchdown leaders are going to miss the playoffs because Calgary's done. Hamilton's in probably the same spot Edmonton is. It's going to get really, really, really tough to get there. Now, Edmonton helps themselves a lot with a win.
Yeah.
But like you said, they've been struggling there in Winnipeg. Not only in Winnipeg, against Winnipeg, I think they've lost 11 straight to the Bombers. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be fun, man. I love watching games with everybody here. I know we're going to do a few watch parties for the Oilers here at the studios, but make sure you come down to the Century Casino down on Fort Road tomorrow. The Reed Wilkins Show will be live from there from 3 to 5 as well. And then Jay and Maddie Iwanek, who's back tomorrow after a 4-day vacation, they'll have your green and gold kickoff show as they tee up the Elks and Bombers. Tonight we got Thursday night football, Gager. The always interesting and fun Dallas Cowboys taking on Danny Dimes. Is that what we're still calling them that? Or
I don't know.
Danny Dimes and the New York Giants. Both teams are 1-2. For me, I can't see the Cowboys losing this. There's just more talent on that team.
Well, way more. But look, this is the Cowboys, aside from their first game against the Browns, and a very lackluster performance by the Browns, and Deshaun Watson did not look good at all. The Cowboys looked okay, and Dak was, but the Browns weren't that good.
No,
they were okay. I'm not going to say but they weren't that good. And then you going up against the Saints, and they just get railroaded, right?
Yes.
And no, they haven't been good enough. And you had mentioned after last weekend, you could see the cracks forming where Dak, we weren't sure who he was kind of chatting to, but it looked not in a good light. And where everyone's sitting on the bench, there's some separation. This is a team that is in dire need of a win right now. Mm-hmm. And part of me is looking forward to I hate to say it because I know it's Struddy's team, but a Giants win. You imagine Jason Studwick if they beat the Cowboys tomorrow? The China Whites will be flowing.
The China Whites would be flowing. I know the game's in New York, and I know the New York Giants are not very good, and Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, there's, he's more downs than ups for sure, but if Dak and CeeDee Lamb and these guys go into New York and can't pull out the win, we might have to get someone on from Dallas tomorrow, Gager, because the pitchforks will be out.
No, it's, they're already in panic mode, right? At 1 and 2. Yeah. And there's a lot of football left to play. But these are one of those games that, obviously the Cowboys should win. Mm-hmm. But just to give you a little bit of momentum, I think if Dak doesn't have a really good performance like he did, in Week 1, I think there's cause for major concern.
Yeah, Eric L says more like Danny Detz. Greg from Lacombe, do you guys know if there's a CFL rule on how early you have to announce your starters? I hate that the Elks announce so early, keep the other team guessing and unable to game plan as long as you can. I would love for the opposition not to know who the starter is before 1 hour before game. So I'll tell you this. So you have to exchange depth charts with the other team the day before the game. So it's usually in the morning before the road team has to travel. So, for example, today in Winnipeg, I would exchange rosters with their PR guy at about 8, 9 in the morning. And that's not public. It's just he sends me their depth chart. Okay. I send them ours, and then they send them off to the coaches. So it's a day before the game that you have to do it.
24 hours before game time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the broadcast, it's 36 hours before game time.
Oh.
Yeah, so not 24 hours because you send it the day before the game.
Okay, yeah.
And then we usually would send it out at 11 for the public and for the media, but like the two teams will know who the starters are the morning before the game.
What about for like betting sites? Because that, or is it just?
Well, I think that's
reports?
that's what the injury report is, because the injury report has to be finalized on day 3, which is 2 days before the game.
Okay, yeah.
So you know exactly who's out.
Who's out? Yeah.
The only time it gets tricky is if you list the guy questionable or doubtful, because he can still play.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the CFL. I don't know how it is in the NFL, because the NFL doesn't do depth charts.
No. Yeah, I'm wondering, I thought it was similar, but it's obviously different.
Because I was asking Iwanek when we first started here, I'm like, does the NFL do depth charts? He's like, I've never seen one the way the CFL does it. Right? So that's the way. But again, when Jarius Jackson announced trade, he did that on his own. Right? So
that was completely out of the blue. That usually doesn't happen too much, right? I mean, I guess in BC you're seeing that they're announcing their starting quarterbacks at certain times. Like Nathan Rourke was said to, he's playing the next game. So I don't know. I've had coaches before, and I'm just looking at it from the hockey standpoint, like not announcing who their starting goaltender is a lot of times, right? Like Coach Woodcroft was famous for not announcing until, but everyone would speculate. And I think he actually had, and when I played, it didn't really matter, but sometimes there was the starter's net and the guy who wasn't playing. But I think some times he would talk to them and go, hey, you go in the other net because I want to keep it secret. And it's just like, I mean, they're going to see.
They're going to see anyway.
Yeah, it's.
And Greg from Lacombe says the day before the game is way better than a week or two. And we understand, and we're all kind of thrown off by that. But the BC Lions did it coming off their bye week, and they pulled Nathan Rourke at half as well before they went on the bye week, and they said Nathan Rourke starting their next game. So it's not like the Elks are the only one that does it. And keep in mind, from day 1 to day 3, the media is always tweeting out who's taking first team reps. So teams know, and teams are tracking that, and teams are also tracking the injury report. So you can't keep a lot secret in the sports world, Gager.
No, it's, I mean, you just fly the drones and just see the practice.
Don't do that, like Canada soccer. We never talked about it because it was before our start. But I never understood why you're trying to cheat at soccer when in 5 minutes you can tell exactly what they're doing.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out what would be the advantage of it, because unless they're practicing, what's it called, set pieces?
Pieces. That's the only thing.
That's the only thing, and even then. you're like, a coach can look from the sidelines, see it, and go, okay, you guys go, I mean.
It's soccer. There's not like there's like 1,000 set pieces.
It's been around a long time. I think there's not too many set pieces that people have come up with.
Yeah.
I mean, unless someone's actually sitting on someone's shoulders. But yeah.
I just hate that it takes away from the success of the men's team, especially, and then the women's team. At the Olympics, they had to win all 3 games. They did, which was awesome, and to go, all that scrutiny because of stupid drone footage that I guess they've been doing for years, and then other people are declining, like John Herdman.
But what's the point? Is it more psychological towards the other team that you're playing against, that you're watching them or something? I don't know. There's no advantage to it whatsoever.
No advantage. So don't use drones to cheat in soccer.
NBA's like that too. I remember as playing junior, we'd always come back and see the visiting teams practicing, right? So some of the coaches would kick us out, except for Jerry Sloan. He was great, the old Jazz coach.
He just let you.
Yeah, he let us just sit there and watch. It was great.
Basketball. There's only so many things you can do.
We were a bunch of kids in half of our hockey gear. He probably thought, what are these guys doing? This is weird. But there was a couple that kicked us out. I want to say the coach of the Sonics. I forget what his name was. He actually was
the angry guy, right?
No, Jordan mentioned him in the Last Dance, where he didn't say hi to him or something at the restaurant, and that's how he used his fuel. What was his name? I'll find it.
You'll find it. And in the CFL, just if people want to know, you're allowed to close 1 practice a week. Okay. Or the media is allowed in right after practice, like say you want to try trick plays or anything like that. But at this point in the season, Gager, when it comes to football, there's so much film on you. Like you can incorporate 4 or 5 new plays or whatever, but you're not changing everything every game. So there's film on you already.
Yeah, who was it? It wasn't. Could have been. I think it was George Carl actually.
George Carl.
Yeah, George Carl.
2:18 Thursday afternoon. It's EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, and Zachticum, or Ice Cube, as everybody's calling him right now. Coming up next, we will be joined by Edmonton Elks starting running back Justin Rankin, who's just having an outstanding season since returning to the club in, when did he return? In late July. So we'll touch base with Rankin as they get set to take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on Friday at 6 o'clock. That's coming up next. But first, here's Zach with a sports update.
Oilers send Max Warner, Noel Hoffenmeyer, and Ethan DeJong to the Bakersfield Condors. Oilers preseason continues Saturday against the Kraken. It's a 5-game slate tonight with the Sabres facing the Sens, Canadiens playing the Leafs, and the Bruins Rangers. All 3 of those games start at 5. Elks wide receiver Gavin Cobb and running back Javon Leake are out for tomorrow's game against the Bombers. Justin Rankin gets the start at running back for kickoff at 6. And in the NFL, injury reports coming out today with Adam Schefter saying that Lions tight end Sam Laporta did not practice with an ankle injury today, and Alvin Kamara, running back of the Saints, was limited. Tonight, it's the Giants-Cowboys at 6:15. And Lieutenant Eric will be down at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for that one. You can catch him there every Monday and Thursday night for the entire NFL season. In the MLB right now, we got the Rangers and Athletics tied 0-0 at the bottom of the 3rd. The Cardinals are up 5-4 against the Rockies at the top of the 4th, while the White Sox lead 7-0 against the Angels at the bottom of the 7th. Right after the break, starting running back for the Edmonton Elks, Justin Rankin joins Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage on EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Holset, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
Don't feel like working? Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
.22 here on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zach Kubusch. Man, there's so many damn names for Zach. I don't even know what to call him anymore, Gager.
I know. Needs a name tag.
He does need a name tag. We're just ahead of Justin Rankin, Edmonton Elks running back, as Zach is working on. I think they were at the stadium doing sit-downs with TSN, so he might be on the bus, so it might be not the best connection we out, because I'll tell you this, Gager, the stadium in Winnipeg to the hotel is about 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yikes. What was the longest road bus trip for you on the road?
It was Phoenix. Well, no. Yeah, Phoenix. When it went out, that was long. Yeah. And Ottawa sucked, too, because you had to go to...
that would.
Canada, right? That really sucked.
Montreal was long for us, too, because that was my last road trip with the Elks, and that was about 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere else is... I'm trying to think of some other long ones. Most of the time, it was a quick, maybe 10, 15 most of the time. Like, New York was great because you take the subway.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, Vancouver's close, but the traffic...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you would know that, but that's why I love Regina. You can see the stadium from your hotel. You're like, I'll just walk over. Same with Toronto, like the hotel we stayed at, literally a block away from the stadium.
Oh, that's
like, we all walked there.
Yeah.
We all walked there.
I liked walking if I could.
Yeah.
That was better.
I'd put my luggage in the bus because it'd show up eventually, and then I'd just walk over there nice and relaxed, enjoy the weather and all that. So, but now we are joined by Edmonton Elks running back Justin Rankin. Justin, how was the flight over to Winnipeg?
I wasn't too bad. It was a quick one.
It was a quick one. How was the week of practice for you guys coming off a disappointing loss on Saturday?
It was a good week of practice. I think we really relocked back in, refocused, and I think we prepared the way that we needed to, in the way that we wanted to.
Justin, everyone remembers their first, and getting your first start at running back this weekend. Tell us a little bit about your preparation going into this huge game, playoff implications. What have you done to prepare for it, and how excited are you to take the field to start the game?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Starting or not starting, none of that really matters to me. I just want to win football games. That's ultimately all I want to do in any season with any team that I'm playing with. I just want to win. My preparation doesn't change. I keep it the same whether we're playing one of the best teams or one of the worst teams. And huge shout out to Nick. He helps me a lot with film study and learning defenses and coverages and tendencies. So I always appreciate him. But, it doesn't change. I just like to prepare very hard no matter what team we're playing.
Justin, you guys are facing the same team you faced on Saturday in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Does that make it easier to you have that revenge on your mind and it's kind of not much is going to change in terms of preparation?
Yeah, it definitely does. Obviously we went back and rewatched the film of us playing them, but it does make it a little easier because we were watching film on it for 2 weeks, especially with the bye week that we had. We were watching in the bye week and in a week of preparation, so it does make it a little bit easier, but at the end of the day, we still got to go out and execute.
Justin, how do you, to start the game perfectly for you, what does that entail? Is that getting a few touches early? What type of way do you like to start the game to have success?
Whatever way they need me, whatever way they need me, I'll start it like that. I don't need the ball. I don't need it in my hands. Obviously that's always nice, but like I said, I just want to win football games, and whatever my role is, I'll embrace that and I'll do whatever I need to do to be able to win.
Justin, you were with the Elks during training camp, and you were released around that time as well. How did you remain patient? And because now they signed you back a few months after, and you've taken off here in the CFL. What was that time like for you? Were you always positive that you'd land with some team?
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't really thinking too much about it. I didn't keep it in my mind after I was released. I went and played arena football, moved down to Texas, spent time with my family. I just kind of was being where my feet were, and I kind of put that away. It was a great opportunity that they gave me during camp, and I was grateful for that. I love football, so that was amazing to be able to come out and be outside again and be around guys that want to be great.
This is obviously a big game, and I definitely know the importance of staying in the moment and treating it like just another game. But this having the playoff implications, how are the Elks? How is your team going to make sure that you kind of set yourself up for the best possibility for success? In this, from the start of the game to the finish.
We're going to play our football. I think, especially in the past 6-7 weeks, we built a DNA, a culture of what we want to be. As long as we believe in that, trust in that, and trust in each other, everything is going right.
Justin Rankin, Edmonton Elks running back, joining us here on EST Afternoons. Justin, you played 3 years down at the Indoor Football League. At that time, how did you come to hear about the CFL, and how did you end up coming up here to Canada?
I actually never really watched too much of the CFL. I did have one of my college quarterbacks, Destin Crum. He played up here, with Ottawa, and I used to watch some of his games, but I didn't know too much about it until one of my and helped me get the opportunity. So I kind of just ran with it.
Justin, thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy down there in Winnipeg. You're on your way to the hotel. All the best tomorrow. Continued success in the CFL, and excited to watch you tomorrow.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
That's Justin Rankin from the Edmonton Elks. The connection wasn't the best because he's on the bus. He's going through Winnipeg, and like I said, it's a long drive there, so it's probably a little awkward to having an interview with two other players and the coach sitting beside you. So I know how that rolls. But thank you to Justin and Mike Arcuri, the communications manager there for the Edmonton Elks. I'm excited for the game tomorrow. It's the Elks haven't been in this position this late in the season since 2019, Gager. So I'm treating this is almost, it is a playoff game for them.
Yeah, and we're trying to crowbar any little bits of information we can from these guys because it is the biggest game of the year. But saying that, to a man, from the coaching staff to the players that we've talked to, they have the same message. It's just another game. We're going to play Edmonton Elks football. And I think if I could probably guess what the mantra has been is we've been one of the best teams in the CFL over the last couple months.
Exactly.
Right? There was a blip in the radar last game, and it didn't but there was still the opportunity to win that game.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you kind of bring at this point. You're not really focused on the negative stuff at all. You're telling your teammates, the coaching staff is probably completely reiterating the fact that, look, we were right there, even though that wasn't our best effort. Let's put our best effort into the game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Let's see what happens then.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Rankin early on because I know Jack likes to run the ball on first down a lot, and if he's getting at least 5 yards, that puts him in such a good spot. I'm also intrigued by Zach Mathis, another rookie getting his first start for the Edmonton Elks. So, you want to do predictions today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
You want to?
I like how I asked him how he would like to start the game. He goes, "Oh, whatever," but. A few touches wouldn't be too bad.
He's very humble, so I'm not buying that. He's probably telling Jack, please get me the ball nice.
Give me the rock.
Rip City Step says I assumed Gager was going to list the WHL bus trips when we were talking about long trips.
Oh gosh. I guess that's Portland to Brandon. That's a long runway. The standing joke is always, how long is this runway?
Yeah.
Or in the American League, because especially when guys come down from the NHL, they fly everywhere.
Because you played in Portland?
Portland Winterhawks and Prince Albert.
So your trips were all long then?
Well, Portland to Seattle was probably 3.5. Tri-Cities 5, Spokane 5 or 6. Kamloops, that was 12. Victoria, sleepover, because you'd usually have to sleep either in Tawasin or you'd have that ferry ride in between. But when you went out east, you usually started in Brandon first, so we would play at home, jump on the bus, and just chug some NyQuil and wake up in Brandon. It's just terrible.
I heard some stories from Cheese, who's the athletic therapist with the Elks, and Corey Graham, of course, because they travel with it. But comfy buses, obviously a lot bigger.
No, not back then. It was just straight
two-seater.
Two-seaters, yeah. You'd just bring the rubber mat or foamy and throw it down on the floor and have to move every 45 minutes because your shoulder fell asleep on the hard floor. And it wasn't easy back. Now I look at these, but there's sleepers and stuff. When I went to Europe, they had sleepers. It was crazy. That was ridiculous. Like in a whole underneath section and stuff like that. It was way more comfortable. But we trying to sleep on those, and those seats are the most uncomfortable things on the planet too. On those old buses, awful.
How who picks the movie?
Oh God. In Portland, our coach, and I've said this before, old Ken Hodge, he used to sit, like most coaches sit at the front of the bus. He would sit 3 rows up from the back and smoke Marlboro Lights.
He would smoke on the bus.
Yeah. And he stopped after a while. But he used to, and of course, guys would be we weren't allowed Walkmans.
What?
No, and we weren't allowed movies. He wanted us to talk and stuff. So the bus trips were terrible, just absolutely terrible.
So you never got to experience the movie on the bus?
We'd never have them on. No, maybe on the way back we did. I'm trying to remember. I'd have to talk to some guys, but never on the way there.
Really?
Right? Because we would always leave the day of the game too. We would sit on a bus for 8 hours, get out and go play.
Jeez, that's tough, man.
Oh yeah, the Western League was very difficult.
It's a grind.
It's a real grind. And back then, I got to look this up because I'm not even sure, but I know that we played 72 games the regular season, and the Ontario League played 60 some, and then back then I think the Quebec League only played 12 regular season games. They were soft.
That's crazy. Travels, the Dub's probably the hardest travel, compared to the one. Yeah,
easily. Yeah. There was always the debate. Oh, you go to the Sioux, but it didn't matter. No, it's tough. It's really, really tough.
So
there's more teams now though, so you're not traveling so far for every single game, but those are long bus trips.
So you played for the historic Portland Winter. They're always good.
Yeah, the factory, as we like to call it.
It is a factory.
It is a factory, yeah.
Like, every time I look up, like, because every year you're looking at how the old Kings are doing. Portland's always, not always at the top, but they're always a playoff team.
I mean, they seem to, over the last, I'd say, decade, the Oil Kings and Portland Winterhawks have been consistently some of the best teams in the Western League.
They had those epic battles.
A few
years ago.
They seem to be able to retool on the fly a lot more. I know there was something about paying players. Portland got in trouble, I think, a few years ago. They had their picks taken away because they were paying some guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think something like that. But
no wonder they're the factory.
Fantastic place to play. It was great to play in Portland.
Best junior player you ever played with or against?
That's Steve Konowalchuk. Played with he was a Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
And with the Avalanche a little bit. I believe he was coaching the Seattle Thunderbirds last time I checked. He was just, and I knew Kono because we would play summer. He was originally from PA, but somehow he came to Vancouver, and him and his brother would just be on the ice all day doing drills. But he was one of the best all-around hockey players that I've ever played with, especially at the junior level. I think the one year he had 100 points and I think 50 goals the one year, and he got like a hat trick on the last game to get his 50 goals. Just both sides of the puck.
Yeah.
Unbelievable on draws, scored the hardest goals. He was just a ridiculous talent, and it was funny because then you go to the NHL and he's just I don't want to say mediocre, but he was just middle of the pack.
Yeah, middle of the pack. Yeah, wasn't an elite scorer.
No, not by any means. But what a powerful player. Really good guy too. He was our captain. He was awesome.
The Salty Turtle says on the EST inbox, the OG version of raw dogging it. Yeah, your coach was.
Yeah. Just terrible.
And then Bone says, wow, there's not enough topics to cover an Eastern road trip for you guys. Like, what did you guys talk about for that long?
Oh my gosh. We're kids, right? So you'd have one guy had enough money to buy a hockey news. There was no internet or no cell phones. Like, we had to talk to everyone. You know what? We played chess. I would play, if you remember Adam Deadmarsh, and I would play chess a lot. We'd play cards, obviously, and stuff like that. Some guys would read books, and you'd bring a book, but as kids, you talk all the time, right? We're talking about stupid stuff that kids would talk about.
Adam Deadmarsh is a hell of a player.
Unreal. That year, he finished, I believe, 60 points as a 16-year-old. And that last game of the year, I think he had 2 goals and an assist to go 30-30 as a 16-year-old in the Western League. We had a great team, man. A lot of guys. Jason Weimer, he was a man-child at 16. That guy came in. I thought this guy was 30. He had a full beard. He was like 15 years old. We had some really, really good hockey players.
That's awesome. We're going to wrap it up in the next segment. Get you ready for the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. They got an excellent show coming up like they always do. We're at 61 thumbs up. Let's get to 75 by 2:55. That gives you 16 minutes right now. That's coming up next here on EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage and Hernan Salas. And here is Zachticum with a sports update.
The Oilers send Max Warner, Noel Hoffenmeyer, and Ethan DeJong to the Bakersfield Condors. Oilers preseason continues Saturday against the Seattle Kraken. It's 5 games on slate tonight with the Sabres facing the Sens, Canadiens playing the Leafs, and the Bruins Rangers. All 3 of those games start at 5. Elks wide receiver Gavin Cobb and running back Javon Leake are out for tomorrow's game against the Bombers. The EST crew will be down at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for that game. Come hang out with all of us and the other nasties for kickoff at 6 p.m. In the NFL, Thursday Night Football sees the Giants-Cowboys at 6:15. Lieutenant Eric will be down there, as he is for every Monday and Thursday night. Some injury reports coming out with Deebo Samuel back at practice for the 49ers. The wide receiver is there. And then the Saints officially listing Alvin Kamara being limited today in practice. As well, it was Lions tight end Sam Laporta not practicing due to ankle injury. Just after the break, Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage continue into the final segment of EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of Injury Law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oiler fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf, oh sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
It's 2:43 here on a nice Thursday afternoon. A little bit windy, Gager. A little bit windy.
Not according to YouTube Trev.
Not according to YouTube Trev. This is EST Afternoon's last segment here for this Thursday. We've got a fun show tomorrow. We're going to have Luke Pierce, the head coach of the Edmonton Oil Kings, as they'll be back in action on Saturday afternoon and followed by the Oiler game. That's going to be a busy time at Rogers Place.
Right.
And we'll be joined by Brian DeArdo from CBS Sports as we're going to recap the Thursday night game in the NFL and look ahead to Sunday. A lot of interesting questions to ask him. The Bengals, the Niners. What other team sucks right now?
Well, let's talk about some of the good ones. I'm kind of curious about the Steelers. How are they gonna?
Are they legit?
Yeah, are they gonna go 16-0?
And I mean the rookie quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, I think has been okay. Jaden Daniels had his coming out party last game. What about the vets, the journeymen, Sam Darnold and Andy Dalton leading their teams? Well, 1-3-0, and then picking up the Panthers' first win was the ginger power there in Andy Dalton. So it's going to be fun. And then a whole whack of games in the CFL. Saskatchewan's home to Ottawa. We need Ottawa to do the Elks a huge favor now. Massive favor. And the Riders got Armstead, who was released by Ottawa. And in his first game with the Riders last week, Gager, he went off for over 200 yards. And you know who predicted that? Lucas Holt.
Really?
Yeah, he goes, what if he goes off for 200?
We didn't predict it. He just said, what if?
Well, I don't know if he said what if. He might have predicted it. I can't remember exactly his words there. I wanted to ask you, since you played pro hockey, traveling, was it always chaos after the game? Like, let's say you flew into Minnesota, for example, and then yet after the game, how quick do you guys get out, pack up, and jump on the plane?
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. The trainers kind of dictate how fast you're going to go.
Yeah. Like, come on, I need your jersey.
Not so much that, but just the way they move. Like if they're hustling, like, and if someone's sitting there waiting for you to put something in your bag, like, because they want to get the bags on the cart, get it out. So they kind of push us to get us out of there as quick as possible. I mean, everything's different now with how guys do things after games and stuff like that. Most of our recovery revolved around Coors Light and maybe a sandwich or something like that.
You guys ever stay overnight though?
When I was first with Edmonton, and even later on, we did actually stay the night in a lot of places. And I remember one night we were where were we? I think it was Columbus, and a few of us went out to dinner. And I remember we were in this big booth, and it was Doug Waite and Garen, and we were talking and stuff. And I asked Dougie a question because this was my second tour of duty with Edmonton, and I'd been to a couple other pro camps, and it just didn't seem like a tight unit. And I know I was there in training camp, and I wasn't usually there with the regular team, but I asked Doug, I go, I've been to a couple other places, and it seems like Edmonton was always a really tight-knit group. Like it seemed like we were more colleagues and buddies than anywhere else. And I asked Dougie why, and he said, one of the main reasons is because we stay overnight on the road when we go on road trips.
You can bond and
we hang out.
Yeah.
Like I remember even going back to the hotel. You go back to the hotel and everyone's there. I remember one night I played against Buffalo in Buffalo, and there's nowhere to go in Buffalo, so we all went back to the to the hotel. And Craig Simpson was doing, I think, color for the Sabres back then. He was back in the hotel room.
Oh, nice.
And we were all sitting around eating chicken wings and drinking beer and stuff. And I was like, this is the best ever. Although I lost, I felt bad. But Craig Simpson made me feel a lot better because he actually came up to me in the hotel room and said, hey, you played great tonight. Good job. So I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, because in the CFL, like it's quick, man. Like for my job, I like grab the guys for media. And then, like you said, the trainers are dictating, rushing the guys that are sitting there half an hour in their uniform still. Like they need to pack up all the dirty uniforms. The trainers are attending to players that need it, and then they're packing up. And then we kind of all help carry bags into the truck. Yeah. And then you're the last ones to load the bus, right? Because you're the last ones out there making sure everything's clean. And then it's the bus ride to the airplane. It's just chaos.
It is.
I didn't enjoy. I'll be honest. First year I enjoyed it. Second year, like after a game, I was always dreading it because you're so tired too.
You just want to get out of there, right?
I just want to be home.
Yeah. So I mean, I remember I felt so bad a lot of times if you play those back-to-backs and. You're going wherever, from LA to Colorado. You get into Colorado and you get to the airport and you see the trainers get out on the charter. They're grabbing all the stuff and putting it into this cube van. And you know that they're going straight to the rink to unpack all this wet hockey gear. And you're upset because you're getting to go to the Four Seasons in Denver with these pillows that you put your head in and just, you can't even see your face after you lay down in this thing. And you just... And I always felt bad for the trainers because it doesn't stop. And then they're coming to the hotel, maybe sleeping for a couple hours, and right back to the rink.
And I hate flying, so like the anxiety would be through the roof, right? Once you're on the bus. And then I almost, like, it's weird. I almost enjoyed the longer flights than the shorter ones.
Oh, I just loved flying. I would fall asleep so quick. Sometimes, like, if you remember Dan Cleary, he was kind of... my best kind of friend when we played, and we would always he had a portable CD player or DVD player or whatever, those were quite unique even at that time, and so we'd watch a couple movies together and then just pass out.
Yeah, I remember asking Chris Jones one time. We went to do sit downs, and I asked because he was in the NFL, right, with the Cleveland Browns, and I said, "Is it just as quick getting out for NFL teams as we do here in the CFL?" And he goes, "It's faster."
Really?
He goes, so we fly in the day before the game, but we fly in the evening because you're there just for a business trip. Like the players don't have a chance to get out. He's like, we get there, we check in, we have dinner, meetings, and then it's curfew.
Really?
And then he goes, and then after the game, he goes, we probably leave faster than we do here in the CFL. Like it's pure business.
Curfews, eh?
Oh, yeah. CFL has curfews.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had curfews.
Really?
I mean,
it's a different time, yeah.
It was an unwritten rule that you wouldn't go out and stuff, but I think it depended on where we were. We would get in at some point. I remember, we'd probably go for something nice to eat or something too expensive, but we'd be back at a reasonable time. But I can't remember any coach saying it when I was in the NHL that we have curfew.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the good thing about that is that it's a charter flight, right? Like you're not messing or showing documentation.
Yeah.
Like you get off the bus, and I'd always wait for the whole team to go on because coaches and then the staff sit in the front rows and the players are all after that. So I was like, I'm in no rush here and let them all go through. But that's probably the best part is that you don't have to go through commercial stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because you said you flew commercial.
Well, we did, but it was mostly charter after a certain point. But we flew commercial at times. Not so much the second time. All the time when I was first with Edmonton. It was a middle seat between two strangers all the time.
Yeah, that's how it is with when we were flying with the Elks. It was the middle seat was always open.
Oh, yeah.
And then in my last two trips with the Elks to Hamilton, Montreal, I got my own row. Everybody's like, what the hell? But, the girl in football up, she's like, just because it's your last couple of games, we're going to give you your own row. So, like, on the way back, I'd lay out completely.
Yeah. Well, I would always, not always, but if I got onto the plane first, because it was all the coaching staff in first class in the charters. So I would sit there and just wait, and then they'd go, "What are you doing?" And then, "Oh, okay, right, I can't sit here." So, but that was the standing joke.
Yeah, because when we flew with WestJet this year, we had so much room. We were kind of first class.
Nice.
It was awesome. Wi-Fi.
Oh,
you can plug anything in. The food was great, but we only flew WestJet twice, and then it was Canadian North. But it's people always ask about traveling, and I said it's great and all, but it's a grind, man.
My best experience flying one time was I got first class.
Yeah.
And it was because there was a power outage back east, and I was going to play in Germany. And so I had to fly from here to Calgary to Frankfurt. But because of the power outage days before, everything was backed up. So there was people yelling at the counter and stuff. So I went up there and I said, "Hey, is it possible to get on this flight or not?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Look, I'll do something." But I was really nice. And so it looked like I wasn't getting on. And then I kind of looked over at her, and she gave me the finger to come over here. And she handed me a ticket. And I looked at it, and it was like 3B. I'm like, this is like right at the front. So I get there, and I'm excited because it looks like it's first. So I go in, and I go behind the curtain right up there, and someone's sitting in the seat. And I'm like, no. And then I show the stewardess, we both had the same seat.
Oh.
And then the stewardess goes, "Take this seat. Captain says we got to go." So I actually took the seat that's reserved for the flight attendants. And and I wanted to sleep on this thing, but because I'm in first class, I want to experience everything. So I want some champagne and the food, but it was really funny because I guess the time I looked a little bit different, and one of the flight attendants came up to me and said, "Excuse me, someone saw you from the back of the cabin and saw you come in, and they were just wondering, is your name Vin Diesel?"
No way. Are you serious?
And I said, yes, I am. No, I didn't, but I said no. But someone
but thank you.
So, but thank you very much. So someone thought that Vin Diesel was on their flight, only to realize when they got off in Frankfurt, it was me.
You should have just said yes, took pictures, signed autographs.
They would have known. Yeah, so my side profile looked like Vin.
Hey, Jasmine on the Nasty Chat says, "Gager, I didn't get a sandwich either." And then Jen says, "Sandwich gate." LOL.
There's always like controversy at this place, and it always revolves around food, which is hilarious.
There's always a gate something, right?
I didn't know if it was going to be any good. It was pretty good sandwich. I'll make more next time.
And this one from Lars says, "WestJet sucks." I don't know. I had a great experience, but again, it wasn't commercial. It was charter, so it's a lot better. Like I said, coming up tomorrow, it's going to be a fun show. We'll be joined by Luke Pierce, the Edmonton Oil Kings head coach, as they play Saturday afternoon, and then the Edmonton Oilers will take on the Seattle Kraken. in the evening, 7 o'clock. It's probably going to be more NHLers in that one. And if you missed it at 1:20 today, you can always download it on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your streaming services. We had Al Kinisky. He's the radio color analyst for the Seattle Kraken. That was a fun interview. Big thanks to Justin Rankin, too, on the bus in Winnipeg that joined us as well. Reed Wilkins' show is coming up next with Jay Milne. It's going to be an excellent show like it always is. For Joaquin Gage and Zach, I'm Hernan Salas, and this has been EST Afternoons. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll chat tomorrow.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.